The story begins with the protagonist of the story named Leticia, as she finds herself in an unexpected situation. She is caught off guard when a man suddenly kisses her hand, while another man grabs her other hand and pulls her into an embrace. This bewildering encounter leaves Leticia feeling irritated and utterly confused about the unusual turn of events. Clearly, the narrative is diverging significantly from the game's plot, where she was merely relegated to a side character role. In her introspective moments, Leticia reflects on what it means to be a side character. She muses about the common traits associated with such characters, jealousy towards the heroine's happiness, or the role of an observer who witnesses the romantic scenes, providing encouragement from the shadows. The side character, despite their efforts, is forever consigned to the background, destined to be forgotten by all, their existence defined solely by their perpetual presence. Sadly, this is the role Leticia has been assigned. Intriguingly, Leticia realizes that her current situation contrasts sharply with the role she was meant to play. She is aware that originally, she was fated to be an inconspicuous figure, watching as Alexia, the main heroine, enjoyed her moments of romance and triumph. But now, Leticia herself finds her life taking an unexpected and pivotal turn. As the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that Leticia has been reborn into the world of an Otome game, a genre in which the player typically assumes the role of the main character and navigates romantic relationships. However, Leticia's rebirth comes with a twist. She is now the twin sister of Alexia, a character renowned for her cruel and domineering personality. In the game's storyline, Alexia bullies the heroine, perpetuating the archetype of the villainess. This was the role Leticia was once relegated to in her previous life. The pivotal moment arrives when Alexia pretends to be ill, setting in motion a scheme that would ultimately lead to Leticia taking her place as the Duke's fiancé. Alexia's manipulative nature and cunning plan begin to unfold, mirroring the events of the game. However, Leticia is no longer content with her side character role, and is determined to shape her own destiny. In a decision that surprises even herself, Leticia's parents send her to the Duke's palace as the substitute for her sister. Leticia's inner turmoil and frustration become evident, but she accepts her fate with a brave face. She acknowledges her role as a mere supporting character, resigned to follow the course that has been laid out for her. Leticia's journey to the Duke's palace is accompanied by mixed emotions. She grapples with her anger over being treated as a replacement for her sister, yet she also finds a glimmer of gratitude for the unexpected opportunity that has come her way. She questions whether the game's narrative had always been destined to take this path. Upon her arrival at the Duke's palace, Leticia encounters a man engrossed in writing. The man's aura and presence immediately captivate her attention. Hesitantly, she introduces herself as the second daughter of Count Lambert. Their eyes meet, and Leticia is taken aback by the man's undeniable handsomeness. She notes that he has a slightly plump figure but envisions him as a hidden gem that could shine even brighter if given the chance. Lionel, as Leticia assumes him to be, blushes under her intense gaze. Leticia's resolve strengthens as she assesses Lionel, the Duke. She becomes determined to play a role in shaping his character, to help him evolve from the unpolished gem she sees before her into a true hero of their story. The experience of her rebirth has granted her a unique opportunity to influence the narrative and make her mark rather than being a forgotten side character. Leticia suddenly snaps out of her prolonged gaze, realizing that she has been staring at Lionel for an uncomfortably long time, given that they've just met. Flustered by her own behavior, she contemplates how best to proceed without appearing rude. She manages an embarrassed apology for the delay in her greeting. Lionel, displaying his innate elegance, approaches her and offers a bow. With this gesture, he introduces himself as the eldest son of the Legrand family. Leticia is struck once again by his poise and charm. Despite being only a year older, Lionel's elegance is evident in every movement he makes. Leticia recognizes her own journey towards self-improvement as she watches him. However, her contemplation is interrupted when Lionel suggests a tour of the garden. Leticia interprets his offer as a sign of his anxiety and quickly agrees. Lionel's haste to agree to her suggestion only serves to reinforce her belief that he is equally uncertain, potentially due to his side character status. He eagerly instructs his servant to prepare for a garden tour, citing the presence of rare flowers that bloom exclusively during this season in the Legrand family garden. Observing Lionel's anxiousness, Leticia can't help but hope that the boy before her, so full of promise, will gradually gain the self-confidence he deserves. As she follows him to the garden, she notes the similarity between herself and Lionel, both mere side characters in the game's narrative. The moment they step into the garden, Leticia is overcome with awe. The vastness of the garden dwarfs her family's own, and she marvels at the array of beautiful flowers. In her excitement, she even absent-mindedly clutches the shawl Lionel had given her. This gesture of respect surprises her, as Leticia, her sister, was always accustomed to getting her way. Leticia reflects on the stark difference between the treatment she receives here and her experiences at home. The narrative takes a sudden turn when Leticia discovers Lionel collapsed on the ground. Her concern is genuine as she rushes to his side, inquiring about his well-being. Lionel reassures her that he's alright but fatigued. Despite his attempt to dismiss her, Leticia takes his hands in hers, determined to accompany him. In this moment, she senses emotion emanating from him, leaving her with a sense of having inadvertently meddled in his affairs. Reminding herself to remain composed, Leticia guides him gently, determined not to let her emotions overwhelm her actions. As she observes Lionel's innocent and shy expression, Leticia can't fathom how someone as endearing as him could be relegated to a side character role. She questions the game's creators for their lack of judgment in not recognizing his true potential. The scene transitions to Leticia enjoying a sumptuous meal, all the while watched by the manor's servants. The stark contrast to her life at home, where Alexia monopolized such treats, is not lost on her. Noticing Lionel's absence from partaking in the sweets, Leticia inquires about his restraint. Lionel opens up about the challenges of controlling his magical powers due to his greater-than-average magical capacity. To overcome this, he has adopted the strategy of increasing his food intake to fuel his growth, even at the cost of his appearance. Leticia is moved by his vulnerability, imagining the taunts he might have faced. This revelation strikes a chord, recalling her own experiences of being overlooked and criticized in her past life. Leticia's empathy for Lionel strengthens her resolve to help him overcome his insecurities. She realizes that both of them, in their own ways, are striving to escape the constraints of being side characters. The notion of transforming herself from the shadows into a more central role resonates deeply with her. As the conversation continues, Leticia's mind races. She becomes intrigued by the idea of Lionel undergoing physical training to aid his transformation. A sudden thought takes hold. What if Lionel's journey towards becoming a main character involves revealing his well-toned physique? The potential of this idea sparks excitement within her. She finds herself standing up, inspired to share her newfound insight with Lionel, suggesting that muscle growth could be an avenue to enhance his magical control. Lionel listens intently as Leticia shares her exercise ideas with him. Over the next few days, Leticia actively assists Lionel in his training regimen. She watches as he transforms before her eyes, shedding weight, gaining height, and developing a more refined physique. A sense of pride washes over her, knowing that her guidance has played a crucial role in this transformation. Her past experiences, particularly the diet videos she absorbed in her previous life, have unexpectedly proven invaluable in this world. In the world they inhabit, physical training has a dual purpose. It not only improves one's magical control but also enhances swordsmanship skills. Lionel's unfamiliar workout routines stir curiosity and fascination among the residents of the Duke's palace. While initially unconventional, the routines gradually yield results, and Lionel gains better control over his magic. Leticia realizes that her involvement has brought her closer to the Legrand family, as evidenced by their gratitude and kindness. Amid a serene tea-drinking session, Leticia seizes the opportunity to question Lionel about his willingness to follow her guidance. Blushing, Lionel reveals that it's a secret, leaving Leticia both intrigued and perplexed. Lionel turns the tables, questioning her motives for helping him. Surprised by his directness, Leticia confesses her desire to polish an uncut gemstone, an apt metaphor for Lionel's untapped potential. Initially concerned about his physical strength, Leticia's perception of Lionel changes as she witnesses his unwavering determination. As their interactions deepen, Leticia's feelings evolve. Initially worried about Lionel's fragility, she soon acknowledges his resilience and commitment to self-improvement. Her admiration for him grows, prompting her to impulsively run her fingers through his hair, praising his wonderful qualities. Lionel's reaction surprises her, revealing his own awareness of her feelings. Leticia's growing connection with Lionel doesn't go unnoticed. Alexia's gaze becomes increasingly menacing, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere for Leticia. The arrival of Lionel at Leticia's residence heightens this tension, underscoring Alexia's displeasure. Intriguingly, the exercise routine that Leticia introduced to Lionel spreads among the Knights of Legrand. Her motivational words are echoed among them as they draw inspiration from the encouragement she had given Lionel. This unexpected impact highlights Leticia's ability to influence and inspire change. A more personal change occurs within the Duke's household. A wider variety of sweets are now offered, reflecting Leticia's influence. Furthermore, Lionel starts indulging in sweets himself, a shift that warms Leticia's heart. Her positive influence on Lionel's lifestyle is a testament to the progress they have made together. As time passes, Leticia observes Lionel's impulsiveness, causing him to frequently bump into objects. She attributes this behavior to his hair falling over his face. Sensing a need for change, she suggests a haircut to improve his field of vision. The idea is swiftly executed, with Emma, one of Leticia's dedicated maids, attending to Lionel's hair. Lionel's appearance transforms with his new haircut. Leticia is struck by his enhanced beauty and openly praises him, inadvertently revealing her admiration. This interaction deepens their connection, creating a subtle yet undeniable bond between them. Despite the progress they've made, Leticia remains cognizant of the impending narrative timeline. 3 years later, the setting for the Otome Game scenario will be their Magic Academy enrollment. While Lionel's current development deviates from the game's course, Leticia remains optimistic, believing that their shared journey is molding a new narrative, one that is uniquely their own. The uncertainty of how this will impact the game's trajectory lingers, but Leticia is determined to embrace the path they are forging together. Amidst the chaos of the preparation, Leticia's maid assists her in getting dressed for the event. The bustling activity is due to her participation in the birthday celebrations of His Highness, the Crown Prince. Leticia, accompanied by her family, arrives at the Imperial Palace. She can't help but recall that in the game's narrative, the Crown Prince becomes one of Alexia's targets. The heroine's involvement with the Crown Prince ultimately triggers Alexia's transformation into a villainous character. While she's lost in her thoughts, Leticia's mother engages in a hushed conversation with Alexia. Her mother expresses regret about the Crown Prince's absence, to which Alexia flatly responds with disinterest. This unexpected response puzzles Leticia, as Alexia had previously expressed eagerness to meet the rumored handsome Crown Prince. However, Alexia's attitude seems to have shifted, which leaves Leticia both intrigued and uneasy. The moment of contemplation is short-lived as Alexia directs attention to Lauren, Leticia's former fiancé. Alexia gazes at him affectionately, catching Leticia off guard. Their father joins them, conveying that they are to greet Lauren of the Richel house, who has arrived at the event. He also reveals that the Richel family has expressed concerns about the hasty engagement. Leticia is stunned, realizing that her engagement with Lionel was primarily driven by political considerations. Her father expresses gratitude to Leticia for fostering a favorable relationship with the Legrand family and aiding Alexia's recovery for the sake of the family's image. Leticia is rendered speechless by her father's unexpected acknowledgement. She grapples with the revelation that perhaps Lionel's kindness toward her was, in essence, an act for the betterment of his family. This revelation adds complexity to their relationship, challenging her assumptions about their connection. A group of girls, acquaintances of Alexia, approaches the sisters. Their conversation revolves around the party and the girls express concern for Alexia's absence. Alexia's designer dress becomes the topic of admiration, and she revels in the spotlight. The attention shifts to Leticia, and her simple attire stands in stark contrast. She admits to not having a magic teacher, prompting shock and murmurs among Alexia's friends. Their comparison of Leticia to Alexia stings, reminding her of her lifelong experience as the unremarkable sibling. She realizes that while she may have grown accustomed to comparison, it still deeply hurts. Feeling overwhelmed, Leticia retreats to a quieter space to catch her breath. She sits, alone, reflecting on the challenges of being the overlooked sister. A blonde-haired boy approaches her, inquiring whether she finds the party enjoyable. Leticia muses about being found out and wonders whether he, too, dislikes the event. They share a chuckle, and the boy suggests she might be excited to meet the rumored Crown Prince, an assumption Leticia quickly dismisses. She speculates that the Crown Prince himself might not enjoy such gatherings, as he seeks genuine connections rather than flattery. The boy's response surprises her. He reminds her of the possible consequences of speaking ill of the Crown Prince, albeit with a playful tone. Leticia pleads for secrecy, but the boy laughs heartily. He assures her that he won't take offense, indicating that he enjoyed her candidness. The boy's laughter, his assurance, and his cryptic words puzzle Leticia. To her astonishment, the realization dawns on her that the boy before her is none other than the Crown Prince Cedric. As the crowd's attention shifts to him, he addresses the gathering as His Royal Highness Cedric. Leticia's shock deepens as she comprehends that her earlier casual remarks were directed at the Crown Prince himself. Cedric's smile and poised demeanor contrast sharply with her earlier impression of him as a fellow party dissenter. He gracefully thanks the attendees for their presence, apologizes for the delay, and encourages everyone to enjoy the celebration. Leticia's mind races, burdened by the knowledge that her casual comments might have revealed her lack of excitement for the event to none other than the crown prince himself. Gossip and murmurs about her conversation swirl around her, accentuating her self-consciousness. Amid the chatter, Lionel suddenly appears by her side, expressing concern for her well-being. Leticia gazes up at him, her surprise mirrored by the surrounding crowd. Lionel's transformation is evident, and his newfound confidence captures everyone's attention. He offers Leticia a warm smile, apologizing for his tardiness. The presence of two ladies seeking Lionel's attention adds to the spectacle, highlighting his altered demeanor. In an unexpected move, Lionel kisses Leticia's hand, expressing gratitude for the path she paved that led him to her. As Leticia gazes at Lionel, she realizes that her life has undergone a significant shift. Born as a side character, she's now at the center of attention, a change she's both unaccustomed to and somewhat overwhelmed by. Lionel's disdain for society festers as he studies, his resentment rooted in the constant slander and mockery he faces due to his appearance. Born into a prestigious Duke family, Lionel's qualifications and worth are continually questioned by those around him. The hurtful words and distorted expressions he encounters daily form a toxic backdrop to his life. In the midst of his thoughts, his butler interrupts, reminding him of his scheduled swordsmanship class. Reluctantly, Lionel acknowledges the reminder and heads for the training grounds. Engaging in swordsmanship, he's haunted by his feelings of loathing towards society. However, a change occurs when he recalls Leticia's presence. Among the derisive gazes that used to meet him, Leticia's was different. She didn't shy away from meeting his eyes and treated him without prejudice. Leticia's direct, kind gaze became a beacon for Lionel, a source of motivation to prove himself. As his instructor corrects his wandering focus with a swift tap on the head, Lionel's thoughts shift back to the training session. Observing Leticia cheering him on, Lionel's attention is drawn to her. But his reverie earns him another whack from his instructor. The instructor notices that Leticia's presence often disrupts Lionel's concentration, suggesting an emotional undercurrent to their interactions. Post-training, Lionel approaches Leticia, inquiring how long she has been observing him. Leticia apologizes for the interruption, to which Lionel insists she needn't apologize. Blushing, he admits that he would have performed even better had he known she was watching. The interaction leaves Leticia gazing at him, finding his demeanor incredibly endearing. Lionel returns her gaze, recognizing her growing awareness of him since the prince's birthday festival. He delights in this development, hoping to strengthen their connection further. Leticia questions why Lionel, with his magical prowess, is learning swordsmanship. The question triggers a memory from Leticia's past life, a memory of gratitude. On that fateful day, she had confessed her discomfort to Lionel, and his reassuring smile had provided solace. Despite her engagement to him being a source of negativity, he had decided to shield her from harm. Lionel's affectionate gesture, removing a leaf from her hair, was the beginning of his vow to protect her. Leticia's heart flutters as Lionel's actions and words touch her deeply. His motivation for learning swordsmanship is driven by his desire to safeguard her, a sentiment that leaves her blushing. Lionel's smile holds a promise, a commitment not to let anyone harm her. His determination is unwavering, his resolve to make her stronger and carry the Legrand name with pride. He longs for her to remain by his side, a part of his life forever. Fast-forwarding 3 years, Lionel has transformed into a striking gentleman, evoking admiration from the maids who cross his path. A maid informs him of Leticia's presence, prompting him to hasten to her side. Entering the room, he finds Leticia immersed in the joy of cake eating. His presence causes her to blush, and he apologizes for the wait. They share a moment, discussing the sweets she's indulged in, as Lionel can't help but notice the abundance of offerings. In a tender gesture, he takes the fork from her hand and samples a bite. This closeness leads to a deeper blush on Leticia's part. She's aware of Lionel's casual gestures, but her heart struggles to perceive them as ordinary. She marvels at his handsomeness, contrasting it with the image of the once cute Lionel she had known. As they indulged in the sweetness of cake, Leticia found herself captivated by Lionel's presence. This year, Lionel had entered the Magic Academy. Interestingly, since the heroine Alexia and her friends hadn't enrolled yet, the anticipated game scenario hadn't commenced either. Longing to inquire about his experiences, Leticia felt a subtle pang. Their interactions had become less frequent recently, and she missed the easy camaraderie they once shared. She questioned him about the Academy's current state, and Lionel responded casually, downplaying its significance. Yet, he omitted the fact that he found dealing with the constant attention from ladies rather exasperating. Leticia blushed, fully aware that someone as handsome as Lionel would naturally attract attention. She recalled the prince's birthday party 3 years ago, where he had garnered a lot of admiration. As she gazed at him, she couldn't help but think of him as a precious gem, shining in the midst of adoring admirers. However, her thoughts also ventured into the realm of anxiety. Considering the numerous women at the academy, Leticia couldn't shake the possibility that Lionel might meet someone and fall in love. If that were the case, she, a mere political fiancé, would become a hindrance. Her dress crumpled in her clenched hands as sadness clouded her expression. Suddenly, Lionel's concerned voice pierced through her thoughts, prompting him to ask what was troubling her. Caught off guard, Leticia stammered, hastily brushing it off as nothing. Faced with his genuine concern, she fumbled for composure and turned away, feigning illness as her excuse to escape. But Lionel's forlorn expression tugged at her heartstrings, making her question her decision. Sensing the emotional turmoil within her, he implored her to be honest. Summoning her courage, Leticia admitted her feelings of inadequacy, her awareness of being an inconsequential side character. She expressed her fears of inconveniencing him, her feelings of inferiority and impatience. Lionel's response left her in shock. He grabbed her hand and confessed that she was mistaken. He attributed his growth, confidence, and determination to her unwavering presence. In his eyes, she was his guiding light, his source of strength. Touched by his words, Leticia's eyes welled with emotion. Lionel's sincerity washed away her doubts. He continued, sharing how she saved him, inspiring him to be better. He implored her not to underestimate her influence on his life. It was a revelation that filled her heart with warmth and wonder. She hesitated no more and shared her own feelings. The fear of being distant from him, coupled with the thought of him surrounded by other women, had tormented her. Lionel enveloped her in a reassuring embrace, admitting he had missed her too. The relief in his eyes mirrored hers. He countered her assumptions, confessing that he had never met anyone more lovely than her. Blushing, he asked if he could assume that she liked him. As Leticia nodded, Lionel's cheeks mirrored her flushed state. He embraced her once more, revealing that he, too, had thought his feelings were unrequited. This revelation made Leticia's heart race. It was everything she had hoped for, Lionel reciprocating her affection. Her joy and surprise collided as they held each other. Lionel's smile was radiant as he suggested they go on a date during their next day off. As the scene shifted, Leticia found herself in the company of Emma, who was thrilled about the upcoming date. Emma's enthusiasm matched Leticia's own heart, and as they prepared for the date, Leticia realized that her dream had come true. The confession, the feelings, it was all real. Recalling the flashbacks, Leticia's cheeks burned, her heart brimming with happiness. However, her contemplation was interrupted by Alexia, who stood outside, seething in frustration. The juxtaposition of their emotions painted a vivid contrast, underscoring the significance of Leticia and Lionel's growing relationship. By nightfall, Emma had transformed Leticia's closet into a chaotic array of dresses. When she finally laid eyes on Leticia wearing a stunning pink gown, all washed over her, Emma couldn't help but praise her choice, and Leticia expressed her gratitude for Emma's late-night assistance. Despite her concerns about the dress being a bit ostentatious, Emma encouraged Leticia to embrace her confidence, assuring her that with this attire, Lionel would undoubtedly fall for her on their upcoming date. Yet, the next morning dawned with a disheartening discovery. The dress lay torn and mangled. Confused and disappointed, Leticia's mind swirled with questions. Emma and the other maids appeared, their faces etched with guilt. They explained that they had found the dress in such a state during their morning patrol. They couldn't identify the culprit, despite their search. As Leticia ran her fingers over the damaged fabric, a humming agreement slipped from her lips. The maids exchanged anxious glances and, with hesitancy, admitted the truth. The scene then shifts to Alexia, lost in contemplation. She harbored the conviction that Leticia's date plans were now thwarted, adding a measure of satisfaction to her displeasure. But her thoughts are abruptly interrupted by Leticia's sudden presence. Their eyes met, and a tense silence hung between them. Alexia swiftly rose, her demeanor carrying a hint of smugness. Leticia addressed her, inquiring if she had something to say. Alexia's smug expression masked her surprise as she asked what Leticia wanted. Leticia countered, asking how Alexia knew about her date. Alexia flinched at the question, and as Leticia approached, the truth unraveled. Leticia accused Alexia of tearing her dress. Alexia tried to feign innocence, demanding proof of her accusation. Her response sent shockwaves through Leticia. This was not the Alexia she knew. While she had always been self-centered, Leticia couldn't fathom her sister deliberately destroying her dress. It left her bewildered, questioning what had transpired to change her sister so drastically. Leticia's thoughts delved into the notion that Alexia might be destined to play the role of a villain in their shared story. A pang of sorrow pierced her heart, realizing that Alexia's jealousy and bitterness might be rooted in her inability to find happiness. The weight of this revelation saddened Leticia as she considered the depth of her sister's suffering. With a heavy expression, Alexia turned away, her vulnerability momentarily exposed. The scene shifted once more, revealing Leticia's arrival at the Duke's manor. She had decided to wear her usual clothes, despite Emma's efforts to help her choose something more cheerful for her date with Lionel. She wondered if Lionel would be disappointed. Then Lionel appeared, immaculately dressed and exuding elegance. His warm smile melted Leticia's worries, and she assured him she hadn't waited long. As her gaze took in his refined appearance, she felt the urge to change into something more fitting. Complimenting each other, they exchanged pleasantries, their words igniting blushes on both their cheeks. Seated inside a carriage, Leticia's realization dawned. Lionel was someone profoundly special to her. The carriage stopped before a jeweler's shop, and Lionel revealed it was one of his acquaintance's ateliers, reserved exclusively for their visit. A sparkling blue stone captured Leticia's attention, and she inquired if it was a magic stone. Lionel confirmed her suspicion and elaborated on the stone's history. His contentment grew as he noticed Leticia's rapt attention. He then surprised her by expressing his desire to offer her a gift. While initially taken aback, Leticia agreed. He encouraged her to choose something she liked, and they perused various stones. A stranger's unexpected appearance interrupted their selection, and the man commented on Lionel's newfound smile, leaving Leticia bewildered and curious about his identity. The man noticed Leticia and commented that she must be one of the rumored twin flowers of the Lambert household. He remarked that she appeared even lovelier than the rumors had suggested. As he drew nearer, Leticia inquired if he was acquainted with her. The man replied that she was simply famous. He gestured toward Lionel, noting that her fame was amplified by her status as his fiancé. He complimented Leticia's beauty, prompting Lionel to intervene. Revealed as Daniel, the man incurred Lionel's calm request to leave them be, as they were still in the process of choosing. Daniel frowned, reminding Lionel that it was his store. He then introduced himself to Leticia as Daniel Durand, the charismatic owner of the establishment. He boasted about his captivating smile, a trait he claimed had entranced people since childhood. With a wink, he invited Leticia to call him Daniel. Leticia inquired whether Daniel had refined all the gems in the store. Confirming her assumption, he asked if she was interested in making a purchase. However, Lionel's piercing glare prompted Daniel to leave, informing them that he would be in the workshop at the back if they needed assistance. Once alone, Leticia's attention was drawn to a stone engraved with roses. Its color mirrored Lionel's eyes. Lionel inquired if she liked it, and she affirmed, picking up the stone with a delighted smile. Lionel selected a light blue cameo, explaining it was her color. His consideration touched Leticia, leaving her gazing at him with gratitude. Lionel suggested they create a charm for each other. Leticia reminded him of her limited magical power, but he reassured her that it wouldn't pose an issue. With her hand in his, he guided her through imbuing the cameo with a bit of magic. Closing her eyes, Leticia concentrated, determined to succeed even with her minimal magical ability. A sigh of relief escaped her as she accomplished the task, prompting a fond smile from Lionel. In a surprising turn of events, a surge of magic enveloped Leticia. It was potent yet tender, carrying Lionel's emotions. She felt him communicate with her, asking if she could hear him. Astonished, she confirmed her ability to hear his thoughts. Lionel explained that he had enchanted the cameo for telepathic communication, allowing them to converse at will. Leticia expressed her appreciation telepathically, marveling at his thoughtfulness. Lionel's demeanor turned more serious as he asked Leticia to address him informally, much like she had done with Daniel. Blushing profusely, she complied, her heart racing. He assisted her in donning the pendant, a delicate and intimate moment. Daniel, watching from a distance, observed Lionel's affectionate behavior and Leticia's blushing demeanor. He found their interaction endearing, labeling Leticia's feelings as either overprotection or deep admiration. The scene transitioned to Leticia, still lost in her thoughts, sitting on her bed. The pendant from Lionel held her attention, igniting joy within her. Determined to offer him something in return, she retrieved her embroidery supplies. Despite the effort involved, Leticia was undeterred. She was eager to make Lionel happy. The memory of Lionel inviting her to the evening soiree echoed in her mind, an event she hoped would be an opportunity to give him the present she was crafting. In the present, Emma observed Leticia's dedication to her embroidery, recognizing her deep desire to bring joy to Lionel. While embroidery might be a tedious task, Leticia's determination was fueled by her earnest wish to express her feelings through her creation. The next morning, Leticia woke up, having fallen asleep while embroidering. She yawned and stretched, only to freeze in shock as she realized the handkerchief she had been crafting for Lionel was missing. Panic surged through her, and she immediately rushed into Alexia's room. There, she found Alexia calmly sipping tea and chastising Leticia for not knocking. Ignoring the scolding, Leticia confronted her sister, asking if she had done something to the handkerchief that was in her room. Alexia grinned smugly and mumbled that perhaps she had burned it or cut it. She admitted that the handkerchief had indeed been discarded. Leticia's anger flared, and she clenched her fist, demanding to know if Alexia felt satisfied with her actions. In response, Alexia's temper ignited, and she yelled back, accusing Leticia of talking haughtily as if she understood everything. Tea was spilled in the process, but Alexia continued, criticizing Leticia for being engaged to the unattractive Duke of Legrand. The words infuriated Leticia, and she slapped Alexia across the cheek, reprimanding her for speaking ill of Lionel, and revealing that she had cancelled the engagement herself. Leticia recounted the pain she had endured when everyone focused on Alexia's illness while ignoring her opinions. Tearfully, she pointed out that everyone always treated Alexia as the priority and questioned why she was complaining. Alexia paused, admitting that she hadn't been happy and that it had always been that way. She shared the challenges she faced, bearing the weight of lessons and social interactions she didn't enjoy. She revealed that she had endured it all due to her duty as the eldest daughter, expressing her own frustrations. In a stuttering admission, Alexia revealed that she couldn't be with someone named Lauren. However, she stopped short of elaborating further. Leticia implored her to wait and tried to reach out to her, but Alexia tossed the handkerchief back at her and abruptly left. Alexia then broke down, confessing her jealousy and insecurity when she saw Leticia. Overwhelmed by her emotions, Alexia lamented her actions and expressed her confusion about her feelings. Observing the scene, Leticia realized that Alexia's perspective was more complex than she had initially thought. The comparison between them had caused Leticia pain, but Alexia, too, suffered under the weight of societal expectations. Leticia approached Alexia, acknowledging her pain, and asked if she liked Lauren. Alexia, now composed, affirmed her feelings. She recounted how Lauren had come to her aid when she was lost at a tea party, admitting that she had liked him even before her engagement was decided. Leticia was surprised by Alexia's confession, as she had heard that the engagement with the Richard family had been postponed due to Alexia's illness. Leticia reassured Alexia that she would have helped her if she had known about her feelings from the beginning. Overwhelmed, Alexia tearfully apologized. Leticia acknowledged their differences but reminded Alexia that they were still sisters. With this understanding, they began to reconcile. The day of the school's evening party arrived swiftly. Leticia, wearing the dress Lionel had given her, was amazed at her appearance. The scene of the magical school was reminiscent of the game, and Leticia couldn't help but remark on the beauty of the attendees. Lionel, by her side, complimented her, and Leticia playfully dismissed his comments as jokes. As they mingled, they drew the attention of both men and women. Leticia made a concerted effort to comport herself well while noticing that Lionel also drew the attention of others. Leticia became conscious of her surroundings, cognizant of how she presented herself while being seen with Lionel. He waved away the attention of other women, deeming them as bothersome. Suddenly, Crown Prince Cedric approached them, greeting Duke Lionel. Leticia instantly recognized him, and he recognized her as well. As Leticia recalled her previous embarrassing encounter with the Crown Prince, a shudder ran down her spine. Lionel then inquired if they had met somewhere before, prompting a chuckle from the Crown Prince. He gallantly kissed her hand and expressed his happiness at meeting her again, playfully addressing her as a disrespectful lady. This unconventional address took Leticia aback, and she mumbled a plea not to bring up the subject of disrespect. The Crown Prince continued, asking if she remembered him addressing her by her name. Surprised, Leticia was certain she hadn't shared her name with him. Before she could delve further into her thoughts, Lionel sidled up to her, side-hugging her protectively and fixating his gaze on the Crown Prince. The unspoken tension between the two men was palpable. Reading the meaning behind Lionel's stare, the Crown Prince chuckled knowingly. Lionel broke the silence with a smile, suggesting he should have introduced Leticia earlier. With that, he proudly introduced her as his fiancé. Simultaneously, Leticia gracefully bowed and introduced herself as Leticia Lambert. The Crown Prince acknowledged her with a polite greeting and whispered for her to relax, assuring her he wouldn't disclose their meeting. He encouraged her to greet him without caution in their future interactions. Leticia agreed hastily, apologizing for her earlier hesitation. Annoyed, Lionel placed a hand on Cedric's shoulder, forcing a smile and suggesting that someone else wanted to meet him. Despite Cedric's resistance, Lionel insisted that they couldn't take up more of his time. The Crown Prince waved a casual farewell to Leticia, and Lionel's voice resonated in her mind, apologizing for making her wait. Leticia smiled and reassured him, watching as he left with the Crown Prince. The connection between Cedric, the main character of the game, and Lionel intrigued Leticia. As the evening soiree continued, she savored the ambience of violins and casual conversations, her thoughts drifting to the possibility of another main character. However, her contemplations were interrupted as three men approached her, inquiring if she was Mr. Legrand's fiancé. Confirming her identity, she asked if something was amiss. The men remarked on her beauty and proceeded to criticize Lionel's past demeanor, describing him as dark and gloomy. One of the men, with an air of arrogance, asked her to dance with him instead of Lionel. Leticia's anger flared, her eyes widening in disbelief. Meanwhile, Lionel, having finally located Leticia, shook his head in annoyance. Cedric had been monopolizing his time with conversation. Lionel listened as Leticia defended his character passionately, asserting that he was wonderful both then and now. She challenged the men's insinuations, asserting that they couldn't even endure 30 seconds of planking exercise, let alone critique Lionel. She demanded that they apologize to him, as they lacked the right to speak ill of him. Baffled by her intensity, the men exchanged glances and found her behavior strange. Losing interest, they began to leave. Leticia started after them, determined to secure a proper apology. However, Lionel intervened, grabbing her arm and gently pulling her toward him. He reassured her, suggesting they find a quieter place to talk. As they exited the hall, a woman with purple hair observed them curiously. Lionel led Leticia to an empty balcony, prompting her to wonder how long he had been listening to their conversation. Unsettled by the possibility that he had overheard their comments, Leticia's thoughts were interrupted as Lionel enveloped her in an embrace. He playfully asked why she was so sweet, admitting that he wasn't bothered by the men's remarks. Instead, he found her fiery defense adorable and expressed concern that another man might steal her away. Leticia then mustered the courage to ask Lionel if he would like to dance with her. His smile brightened, and he enthusiastically agreed. Together, they swayed and danced, reveling in each other's company as the night unfolded before them. The focus shifts to Leticia, who is getting ready for a special event. Nervously, she repeatedly asks if she looks good, seeking approval from Leticia and the maids. While they assure her she looks great, Leticia remains unsatisfied and demands that they redo her makeup. Leticia observes how many times Leticia has already done this, and she reminds her that Lauren and Sama are waiting for her. Today marks the engagement between Lauren and Leticia, a significant event. Amidst the complexities of Leticia's and Letia's relationship, Leticia feels that they have finally become true sisters. As Leticia bids Leticia farewell, she senses that a problem is brewing. As she takes notes in her notebook about love triangles, Leticia realizes that Letia's feelings for Lauren are in conflict with the game's settings. In the Otome Game storyline, Leticia transforms into a villainess, favoring the Crown Prince Cedric. Reflecting on the current Leticia, Leticia finds it difficult to imagine her falling for anyone other than Lauren. Even when Leticia saw Cedric, her reaction wasn't significant. Leticia acknowledges that she, too, has been reborn into this game world and that unexpected events might transpire. She continues to make notes, focusing on His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, and his potential subordinates. Among them are Chris, the son of the director of the Department of Magic, Emilio, the son of the Prime Minister, and Liam, the son of the commander of the Knights. These individuals are the captured targets within the Otome Game. Additionally, there's the heroine, Diana. Kidnapped at the age of 3, she was later identified as the kidnapped Baroness. Reuniting with her parents, she's set to enter the academy. This scenario marks the beginning of the Otome Game. Leticia realizes that Diana might be around the same age as her and Leticia, with a likely admission to the academy similar to theirs. Concerned about the potential outcomes, Leticia contemplates that if Diana follows the Crown Prince's route, Leticia might become the villainess, leading to dire consequences for both Leticia and herself. Determined to prevent this, Leticia searches for a solution but finds herself at a loss. Exhausted from her thoughts, she wishes to hear Lionel's voice. Gazing at the magic stone he gifted her, she hears him calling her name. Lionel's perspective shifts to how cute he finds her. Lionel informs Leticia that his chefs have returned and would like her to taste their latest creation. She smiles, looking forward to it, as she hasn't had much of an appetite lately. Leticia continues to reflect on her affectionate conversation with Lionel, and decides to embrace happiness even as a side character in this game world. A year later, Leticia's academy life begins anew. As Leticia and Alexia arrive at the academy, they become the center of attention, drawing astonished looks from the boys. They are referred to as Lambert's twin flowers, a moniker that both flatters and unsettles Leticia. The realization that this is the very place where the Otome Game's story commences fills her with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She's acutely aware that their actions and interactions could influence the course of events in the game. Amidst the hustle and bustle, Leticia's thoughts are preoccupied with deciphering the potential route that Diana, the game's heroine, might follow. She reasons that Diana, like herself, should possess some degree of magical ability and might be placed in the same general department at the academy. As Leticia ponders this, a boy approaches her and extends an invitation to show her around the campus. Stuttering with uncertainty, Leticia is taken aback when the boy casually refers to her as cute. Before she can respond, Alexia steps in, swiftly, intercepting the situation. With a radiant smile, Alexia gladly accepts on Leticia's behalf, mistaking the boy's intentions. However, when the boy clarifies that he intended to show Leticia around, Alexia's protective instincts kick in. She grips the boy's arm, flashing a smile, and assures him that Leticia would appreciate the gesture. Yet, the boy's comment triggers Leticia's ire. Suppressing her anger, she curtly reminds him that she's also a lady of Lambert and inquires if he has ulterior motives concerning her precious little sister. Alexia's expression alone is sufficient to make the boy retreat hastily. Alexia then cautions Leticia to stay vigilant and contact her if any trouble arises. As Leticia watches Alexia walk away, she realizes that despite her overbearing nature, her sister's actions stem from a place of genuine care. After the first class concludes, Leticia finds herself immersed in a curriculum that aligns with her expectations. The academy offers a well-rounded education that encompasses not only magic but also a diverse range of cultural and historical subjects. Having been exposed primarily to magical literature within Lambert's house, Leticia relishes this opportunity for broader learning. Amidst the students, Leticia notices a group of girls gathered around someone. The girls are derisive toward a pink-haired girl, challenging her audacity as an orphan to hold her head high. The pink-haired girl defends herself, explaining that she's attending as the Baron's daughter. Nevertheless, the girls continue to mock her. Leticia eavesdrops on the conversation and pieces together that the pink-haired girl was adopted by the Baron at the age of 10 after growing up in an orphanage. The story strikes a chord within Leticia, mirroring her own experiences. With a growing realization, Leticia identifies the pink-haired girl as none other than Diana, the heroine of the Otome Game. Memories of her own mistreatment by side characters due to her lineage resurface. Empathy drives Leticia to intervene, ensuring Diana's escape from the situation. As the mean girls attempt to thwart their departure, Leticia confronts them with an icy retort, advising them to focus on themselves. In a calmer setting, Diana and Leticia find themselves seated on a bench. Leticia expresses gratitude for the opportunity to help, addressing Diana as cute and inquiring about her well-being. Diana responds with a bittersweet smile, explaining her resignation to such treatment due to her background as a former commoner raised in an orphanage. Leticia offers reassurance, placing a comforting hand on Diana's, and dispels the notion that Diana's background defines her worth. She admires Diana's graceful demeanor and encourages her to embrace self-confidence. Moved by Leticia's words, Diana's eyes glisten with tears, which she promptly wipes away. Leticia inquires about Diana's emotional state, prompting Diana to respond with a smile. She confides that Leticia's kind words are a first since arriving in this world, evoking a sense of joy she hadn't experienced before. With a nod, Leticia acknowledges that such treatment is befitting of the heroine in an Otome Game. A charged pause hangs between them, marked by widened eyes and agape mouths. Both Leticia and Diana come to a profound realization that their shared experiences of transmigration and their roles as characters within an Otome Game universe have triggered an awakening. The unspoken truth is revealed as they simultaneously voice their doubts and curiosities about the Otome Games that may have brought them here. Leticia grapples with the incredulity of another person having transmigrated into this world. The silence between her and Diana, charged with the weight of their shared experiences, is broken when Diana's stomach lets out an audible growl. Leticia can't help but chuckle at this, suggesting that they take a moment to converse. Opening up, Leticia shares her own backstory, the life she lived before being reborn in this world. She recounts the challenges she faced that diverge from the game's narrative. In turn, Diana reveals that in the game, she was kidnapped at the tender age of 3 and then taken in by a baron's family when she turned 10. However, Diana highlights that her journey was not without its hardships, even though she is cast as the game's heroine. Diana reflects that she's lost touch with her former self, a sentiment Leticia empathizes with. The conversation takes a more positive turn when Leticia confides that she has discovered a new purpose in this world, causing a blush to tint her cheeks. Responding with curiosity, Diana queries if Leticia has found someone special, prompting her to admit to her affection for someone named Liam. Surprising Leticia, she learns that Liam was Diana's main love interest in the game, alleviating any concerns about competition for the Crown Prince's affections. This revelation also bodes well for Alexia, who seemed to be headed towards the crown prince route. Diana admits her hesitance in expressing her feelings for Liam, considering her admiration a ridiculous endeavor. Leticia counters this notion with an encouraging smile, assuring her that falling in love is a wonderful experience. She promises her unwavering support and cheers for Diana's success. Moved by Leticia's sincerity, Diana's eyes glisten with renewed tears. Leticia witnesses the purity in Diana's emotions and realizes she wants to be a source of encouragement, whether Diana hails from another world or not. Leticia extends an invitation to continue their conversations, a gesture Diana gladly accepts. As Leticia leaves the scene, the pleasant interaction with Diana lingers in her mind. Despite encountering several individuals who share her predicament, meeting someone from her own world brings her a sense of comfort. Thoughts turn to the potential conflicts she might encounter, especially with the rival villains from the game. She contemplates if these interactions might lead to confrontations, given that she doesn't have the backing of the main characters like Diana does. Her musings are abruptly interrupted when she finds herself face to face with the former Mean Girls. One of them introduces herself as Karina Rosen, a name that instantly triggers recognition. Karina, the witch, one of the villainesses from the game. With a bow, Leticia inquires how she can assist them. Karina accuses her of insulting her and offers a conditional forgiveness if Leticia apologizes and prevents her family's reputation from being sullied. Leticia grasps the weight of Karina's Duke household status and the potential repercussions. She swallows her pride and apologizes. Karina appears to be satisfied with the apology, but then offers a cryptic piece of advice, telling Leticia to reconsider her pride. Bewildered by this statement, Leticia's thoughts are cut short when one of the girls suddenly casts a binding spell on her, rendering her helpless. As her mind races to find a solution, she grapples with the realization that she's trapped in this magical constraint, wondering how she can possibly escape its grip. Karina's smug grin widens as she mocks Leticia's apparent incompetence in blocking even the simplest magic. She goes on to demand an apology, which, reluctantly, Leticia offers. However, Karina's arrogance only grows as she commands Leticia to go even further and kneel down to apologize properly. The weight of the situation presses upon Leticia's mind. She's aware that Karina is affiliated with the same magic department as Alexia. Refusing could potentially lead to dire consequences for her sister's academic standing or even her safety. With a heavy heart, Leticia begins to bend, ready to acquiesce to Karina's demand. But, in an astonishing turn of events, her magic stone starts to emit a radiant glow, severing the chains that had imprisoned her. Simultaneously, the girl who cast the spell is inflicted with burns on her hands, causing her to cry out in pain. Leticia is dumbfounded by this sudden twist and wonders if this surge of magic is somehow related to Lionel. As if summoned by her thoughts, Lionel materializes beside her in a magical display. His grin is both charming and reassuring as he tells Leticia that there's no need for her to kneel. His gaze sharpens as he fixes his attention on the mean girls who had dared to target Leticia. An aura of intimidation radiates from him, sending chills down the spines of the onlookers. In a voice that's frosty and controlled, Lionel questions Karina's motives, highlighting the recklessness of using such a potent spell against Leticia. Karina, caught off guard by Lionel's presence and demeanor, attempts to defend her actions by citing Leticia's perceived disrespect and her own status as a member of a prominent duke's household. Lionel, however, isn't swayed. He demands an apology from Karina, cutting through her flimsy excuses. The tension in the air is palpable, and Lionel's assertiveness takes Karina by surprise. Her cheeks flush with embarrassment and anger, making it clear she's not accustomed to being in such a vulnerable position. The scene's intensity culminates as Karina, her embarrassment transforming into fury, shoots a final glare at Leticia before announcing her departure. As Karina leaves, Leticia lets out a sigh of relief, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for Lionel's timely intervention. Yet, her astonishment remains. This was the first instance in which she had seen Lionel emanate such an authoritative aura, a side of him that was entirely unfamiliar. Turning to Leticia with concern etched on his features, Lionel asks if she's unharmed. It's a gentle reminder of the Lionel she knows so well, caring and attentive. Reassured by her affirmation, Lionel offers to enchant her pendant, ensuring it provides her with an added layer of protection. His playfulness resurfaces as he affectionately squishes her cheeks, playfully asserting that he needs her safe. The students who had gathered as spectators murmur amongst themselves, gossiping about the unexpected scene they had witnessed. Leticia's heart is a mixture of emotions as she processes the day's extraordinary events. Meeting Diana, discovering the shared truth of their transmigration, and gaining insight into Diana's role in the game. It's all a lot to take in. However, amidst all the revelations, Leticia's determination remains unshaken. She's resolved to navigate this world and her newfound identity with grace. As she reflects on the day's occurrences, her thoughts are interrupted by the arrival of Alexia, her eyes brimming with tears. The sight tugs at Leticia's heartstrings, and she braces herself to offer the support and comfort that her sister so clearly needs. Leticia's heart clenches with worry as she observes her sister's tearful demeanor. She knows that Alexia's relationship with Lauren must be the cause of her distress, something related to their engagement. Over time, Alexia has revealed more of her emotions, particularly after their recent reconciliation. Leticia inquires gently, asking Alexia what's wrong. She listens attentively as Alexia pours out her feelings, admitting that Lauren has been acting strangely. Lauren's avoidance has left Alexia feeling confused and hurt. Even within the walls of the academy, where they are meant to see each other regularly, Lauren keeps his distance. He's even gone so far as to restrict their interactions within their respective mansions. Alexia's vulnerability is evident as she seeks Leticia's opinion on the matter. Leticia's mind races as she contemplates the situation. Lauren, Alexia's fiancé, is Count Richard's third son. He had even conversed with Leticia recently during a visit. At that time, he came across as a principled and honorable individual. The thought that he could be the cause of Alexia's tears puzzles Leticia, but she resolves to help her sister in any way she can. As Alexia laments about why Lauren seems to harbor negativity towards her, Leticia's reassurances flow naturally. She encourages Alexia to address the issue head-on, suggesting that she have an honest conversation with Lauren as soon as his classes conclude for the day. When the opportunity arises, Leticia finds herself sitting beside Lauren, a mixture of concern and determination in her gaze. She opens the conversation gently, inquiring if he hasn't seen Alexia today. Lauren's pause and the sadness in his eyes only deepen Leticia's conviction that something is indeed amiss. Summoning her courage, Leticia delves further, probing to understand if something happened between Lauren and Alexia. However, Lauren evades the direct question, asserting that it's a personal concern that he's dealing with. Leticia remains persistent, unable to shake off the feeling that there's more to the story. Leticia's genuine concern prompts her to ask whether the issues lie within the context of Count Richard's household situation. Lauren's astonishment at her insight reveals that she's touched a sensitive nerve. He questions how she could possibly know about this matter, a secret he hadn't shared with anyone else. Leticia's own surprise at having guessed correctly is momentarily overshadowed by Lauren's disclosure. He begins to reveal fragments of the truth, explaining that the Shadows are a clandestine group responsible for intelligence and security operations. Within the country, they serve as both protectors and covert agents, handling missions that often involve danger and intrigue. To Leticia, it sounds akin to real-world spies operating in the shadows. As Lauren continues, he reveals the connection to his family, the Richard household. They are descendants of guardians, individuals responsible for carrying out the missions of the shadows. Leticia can sense the weight of Lauren's revelation, a responsibility tied to his lineage. His pained expression and the tight grip he has on his chest suggest a heavy burden that he's been shouldering. Lauren's voice trembles with emotion as he discloses that the Richard household has been a vital pillar in supporting the country from the shadows, ensuring its safety and stability. Yet, his somber tone hints at the price he's paid for being part of this lineage. With a deep sigh, Lauren shares that these responsibilities have left him grappling with internal conflicts, revealing a vulnerability that Leticia hadn't anticipated. His sudden collapse takes both of them by surprise. Leticia's exclamation of his name echoes in the air as she reaches out, concern etched on her features. She assumes that the weight of Lauren's revelations has taken a toll on him, both physically and emotionally. With urgency in her actions, Leticia calls out to Lauren, immediately recognizing his deteriorating condition. She places her hand on his forehead and discovers the fever that has taken hold of him. Driven by concern, she grips her pendant tightly and reaches out to Lionel, summoning him to her side in an instant. As Lionel materializes, he inquires about the situation, his eyes narrowing with worry as Leticia explains the circumstances to him. Together, they work to move Lauren to the infirmary, Lionel carrying him on his back. Yet, upon arrival, they are met with an unexpected hurdle, the absence of the attending doctor. Leticia's mind races, searching for a solution in this critical moment. However, before she can devise a plan, Lionel takes action. With a gentle and determined demeanor, he begins to remove Lauren's clothing, exposing his chest. Leticia's gaze follows Lionel's movements, and her concern deepens as she notices a dark, ominous mark on Lauren's right side. Lionel reveals the truth. It's a curse, a forbidden magic that saps the life force from its victim. As he skillfully works to counteract the curse's effects, Leticia can sense the gravity of the situation. As Lionel's healing magic takes effect, Lauren stirs, gradually regaining consciousness. Lionel queries him about his involvement in the shadow missions. Lauren's response is tinged with a wry smile, acknowledging that the Legrand Kingdom is indeed privy to the shadow's existence. Lionel further inquires about Lauren's readiness for such missions, prompting Lauren to elaborate on his perspective. As the third son of the Richard family, he believes himself lacking in power compared to his siblings. He explains his aspirations to achieve and excel, to prove his worth. Leticia completes Lauren's thought, questioning whether he believes his worthiness to be connected to his achievements. Her words reflect her own understanding, admitting that she once held similar doubts about her worthiness of Lionel. She looks at Lionel, her eyes softening with affection as she admits that she had been mistaken. Her grip tightens on his hand, her expression resolute as she imparts a heartfelt sentiment. What truly matters, she tells Lauren, is the sincere communication of feelings between two people. Meanwhile, Alexia's concern has manifested as trembling worry. As soon as she's able, she rushes to Lauren's side, enveloping him in a tender embrace. Lauren reciprocates her touch, his voice filled with apology and love. Leticia watches this display of affection with a fond smile, reassured by the connection between her sister and her fiancé. With Lauren on the path to recovery, Leticia and Lionel take their leave, stepping away to allow the couple their privacy. In this moment of solitude, Leticia expresses her gratitude to Lionel for his immediate aid. Lionel's response is both tender and playful, a confession of his willingness to utilize his unique magic solely for her benefit. Leticia's smile radiates warmth as she acknowledges his dedication, reflecting on the comfort she feels with his presence. Lionel's teasing nature surfaces as he reminds her to avoid being alone with other men, a lighthearted gesture that emphasizes the affection between them. Leticia found herself in a cooking class, marveling at the existence of such lessons in this world. Though the culinary offerings paled in comparison to the Legrand household's exquisite treats, Leticia decided to prepare some delicacies as a gesture of gratitude for Lionel's recent assistance. As she walked down a corridor, an unexpected stumble led her to the brink of a fall. Yet, in the nick of time, a hand reached out to steady her, preventing the embarrassing tumble. Gazing up, Leticia's eyes widened as she met the gaze of none other than Crown Prince Cedric. The young woman who had caused the incident hastily departed with her companions, leaving Leticia to acknowledge the familiar faces, acquaintances of Karina. Cedric, ever the vigilant prince, inquired if Leticia was being followed. Though reluctant to burden him with trivial concerns, she downplayed the situation. His assurance, however, offered more than just protection. His willingness to rid her of such nuisances was a testament to his care. Her response prompted an enigmatic comment from Cedric about fairness, a remark that left Leticia curious but went unexplained. The prince then surprised her by revealing a bag, prompting her to recall the sweet cupcakes she had baked. Gratitude flowed as she thanked him, yet his inquiry about their origin, whether she had made them herself, drew a momentary change in his demeanor. When he learned that they were destined for Lionel, a touch of melancholy crossed his features. Curious about his reaction, Leticia inquired, prompting Cedric to urge her to go to Lionel as swiftly as possible. She complied, hurrying off with apologies. But a pause, a moment of reconsideration, led her back to Cedric's side. Offering him a cupcake, she saw the play of emotions across his face, a complex intermingling of surprise, gratitude, and perhaps something more. It was a small yet genuine gift, a token of appreciation devoid of ulterior motives, a rarity in his life. Meanwhile, Leticia moved toward Lionel, drawn by the familiar sound of Diana's voice. Before she could reach her, however, the appearance of Liam caught her attention. Cautiously, Leticia concealed herself behind a nearby wall, inadvertently overhearing a tense exchange between the two. It became clear that Diana was maintaining a distance between herself and Liam due to the significant differences in their status. Even while Arguing, Liam tries his best to sway her mind to get her close to him so she can understand how much he truly feels for her in the first place. The conversation took an emotional turn as Diana pushed Liam away, apologizing with tears in her eyes before fleeing from his presence. Leticia's heart ached for her friend, and she couldn't help but intervene. She trailed after Diana, her voice carrying across the space as she called out to her. And then, as fate would have it, Leticia's path converged with Lionel's, who was clearly agitated by her previous absence. Annoyed, he questioned her presence in such a location, demanding an explanation. In response, Leticia unraveled the story of Diana's distressing encounter with Liam. Lionel, understanding her concern, reassured her with a smile. He conjured a magic bird, a tool to locate Diana and ensure her safety. Grateful yet exasperated by the constant interruptions, Leticia sighed and pushed away from Lionel, only for Cedric to suddenly materialize before them. Confusion and tension lingered in the air as Cedric's appearance surprised them all. He explained his presence, mentioning the close relationship he shared with Liam. As Leticia contemplated Cedric's kind intentions, his comment about the delicious treat struck Lionel silent. The magical bird fulfilled its purpose, returning with Diana in its sights. Leticia hurried to her friend's side, finding her standing in the rain. Concern painted her voice as she urged Diana to seek shelter. Amid the raindrops, Leticia questioned whether Diana's distance from Liam was due to a quarrel. Diana's response, however, painted a deeper picture, her struggles as an orphan and the overwhelming fear that had colored her experiences in this unfamiliar world. Her voice trembled as she recounted her past, the tears mixing with the rain. And in the midst of her narrative, one name stood out, Liam, the one figure who had provided her solace and familiarity in her darkest moments. The recognition was instant, for he was a character from the very game they had found themselves entangled in. Diana's arms wrapped around Liam, a profound sense of relief washing over her as she finally found solace in the presence of someone familiar. With his visits to the orphanage for charitable deeds, he had taken upon himself to watch over her, creating a bond that deepened with each encounter. The connection between them grew naturally, their hearts entwined as they navigated their shared moments. However, as her feelings for Liam flourished, so did the knowledge of the differences between their stations in life. She, an orphan, feared that her presence would only bring suffering to him, tainting his life with her own struggles. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed this truth to Leticia, assuring her that her tears weren't born out of jealousy, but rather from the torment of her own apprehensions. Observing Diana's emotional turmoil, Leticia's heart ached in response. She recognized the universal truth that people often strive to match the worth of those they cherish, grappling with anxieties and insecurities, just as she had with her feelings for Lauren. But she realized that this notion was flawed. True affection transcended such measures. Comforting Diana, she voiced her own experiences of doubt, emphasizing that what truly mattered were the feelings one held for another. She urged Diana to reflect on her feelings for Liam. Amid tearful confessions, Diana affirmed her affection for Liam, acknowledging the depth of her emotions. Later, as the group reconvened, Diana recounted the events that had transpired. The bullying she endured due to her status as a baron's daughter raised in an orphanage, the very reason she had distanced herself from Liam. His anger ignited. Liam's fury threatened to escalate the situation, but Cedric's intervention halted his rash actions. Cedric's wisdom reminded Liam of the potential consequences of impulsive actions, cautioning that such decisions could only bring further suffering to Diana. Liam's rage abated, replaced by a deep realization. Approaching Diana, he lowered himself to his knees, his apology sincere and heartfelt. He confessed his own shortcomings, admitting his obliviousness to her pain. He was clumsy in his approach, but his desire to protect her was unwavering. Tears pooled in Diana's eyes as she responded with her own apologies, the mending of their relationship unfolding before their friends' eyes. Leticia, a silent spectator to this intimate moment, held hope in her heart for their future. She longed for their connection to flourish, to stand the test of time and adversity. Cedric's approach brought a measure of relief as he remarked on the successful reconciliation. With gratitude, Leticia acknowledged his role, expressing thanks for his assistance in drying Diana's clothes through his magic. A gentle gesture from Cedric, a sweep of her hair behind her ear, stirred a range of emotions within Leticia. His words held an implicit promise, a willingness to go to great lengths to ensure her happiness. But before the sentiment could fully settle, Lionel intervened, his protectiveness evident as he shielded Leticia from Cedric's advances. Despite Cedric's smug smile, the moment underscored the complexities of their intertwined relationships, a mixture of camaraderie, rivalry, and unspoken feelings. When Lionel gets mad at Cedric for making such a scene with his fiancé, he warns him almost instantly and suggests that he will need to quit this kind of behavior from now on. Sensing that there must be a great hostility inside of Lionel's mind after seeing what he had done previously, Cedric suggests that he should clam down, adding that he was only setting her hair over her ears and nothing else, so that shouldn't bring out that much of his reaction. But in the meantime, Cedric keeps on staring at Leticia like he is smirking inside of him and suggests that if a hair gets in her eye, that would have been truly terrible to make his opinion valid in front of Lionel. Then after hearing such bullshit from Cedric, Lionel claims that he should be the one worrying about all that and not him, while keeping his face straight in anger. But even though he keeps hostility between them, Lionel continues to act respectfully toward him, since he is nothing else but the crown prince who will be the next king. Leticia finds herself to be in a puzzling situation, and even Liam and Diana continue to watch them in confusion as if they are unable to digest what is happening around them. Then all of a sudden, Cedric claims that he has made Lionel hate him, and because of that, even before the situation continues to transpire even more by Lionel hating him much more than that, he will be the one leaving the location. Liam thinks that they should be leaving soon enough, as well as they have wasted too much time. While all of them are gone, Leticia wonders what she might be saying to Lionel, as she is quite speechless for the moment, but she ends up calling him by his name. Then Lionel surprisingly embraces her without even her guessing that it is about to happen, and Leticia is unable to understand what is even happening inside of his head. Then Lionel remarks that he truly hates Cedric, and she guesses it right that he is truly talking about Cedric for real and gets confused and startled. Then he adds that Leticia will need to avoid him if he keeps on approaching her in the future, but Leticia thinks that it will be quite difficult for her to do so. Then Lionel remarks that he will be needing to get rid of him, which makes Leticia to wonder what kind of insanity he must be plotting in the first place. She thinks that Lionel must be quite jealous, seeing that Cedric is trying too hard to get close to her. To assure him that she is never about to leave his side, she claims that the only person that she will like till the end is him and no one else. Both of them soon engage in an intimate kiss, and the scene shifts soon enough as the night passes like that. At night, Karina and her members of Mean Girls can be seen talking to some kind of astrologer, and it seems Karina is not happy that they have been called into the den of hers. But her companion claims that the astrologer makes accurate guesses about the fortune, so it might be useful against their enemies, meaning that it might not make them lose anything if they end up trying it out. Karina thinks that the idea of fortune-telling must be absurd, and it is not like she is in the mood for something like this. Then while thinking about the present, she remembers how Lionel went against her, saying that Leticia is his fiancé, and started warning them. As she feels the frustration rising inside of her, she starts to clench her fist to grab her clothes, deeming that she is truly anxious about the future. She thinks that even though she might be quite exceptional, there is no way she would be letting someone like Leticia to take Lionel away from her like that. Soon the fortune teller asks Karina if she hates her, and the idea of the woman speaking her mind starts to get her startled. The fortune teller takes her side, saying that Leticia is an incompetent woman, and when Karina realizes that the woman can be saying that which means that there will be more to her potential. Soon the woman shows an amulet, which is to make someone disappear if they hate that person. The woman holds the amulet in front of her and starts asking if she would like to try it out on her. As the scene shifts, Diana can be seen with Leticia and Alexia, and it seems that she is quite nervous if she is alright to have a cup of tea with them. Diana is concerned that the girls will get on with bullying Leticia once again if they see them together, and Leticia seems confident that she doesn't care what anyone thinks, since she wants to spend time with her. Alexia claims that Diana is also her new friend, and if someone tries to mess with her, she will surely make that person vanish. Soon Lauren comes in calling the name of Alexia along with Liam and Lionel, and the pair of couples continue to chat while making jokes with each other. While chatting up with each other, Leticia notices that Lionel is staring at her these days, and Lionel thinks that she is doing the opposite. Then all of a sudden, when Lionel goes on to smell her hair, she ends up engaging each other into a passionate kiss once again.